In this video, we're going to design a presentation using the online editor of Venngage. Welcome to the Accessibility Guide channel. My name is Sean Jordison, and let's jump right in. To begin, we're simply going to log into our Venngage account, and then under the Templates button, I'm going to select Presentations on the far left side. This will bring up a whole bunch of different presentation templates that we can use to start designing our presentation. Now, I am going to use this tool because I want my presentations to be accessible from the beginning, and Venngage allows me to build that in from the start. Now, I'm going to look for a slide deck that looks like it's close to my brand or something. Let's go ahead and try this user personas. I'm going to select create on the presentation, and this will pull the presentation up into a separate window. Now, we have thumbnails on the right-hand side that we can navigate to and adjust where needed. We have a brand kit and our design elements on the far left, and we can begin to update our presentation. So in this example, I'm going to say Venngage by the accessibility guy, and let's make our font a little bit smaller, and we can adjust our templates just a smidge, and I'm gonna make this tag a heading level 1. So I'm going to select it. Oh, and it's already a heading level 1, perfect. Now this is where we can come in here and adjust some of our logos. I'm going to delete that logo at the top. Let's go to our brand kit, and I'm going to move in my logo that I want to use, and let's right click it, and let's select the edit image button, and we can make any adjustments we want to the image itself. We could also use like a background remover in here. Then we can select the alt text button, and we could add in our alternate text. For this one, I'm going to say the tag logo for the accessibility guy, and then select save, and let's close the image property windows. And if we wanted to, we can continue to swap out our images, or we can make sure they have alt text, and currently this one is marked as decorative. Then we can move on to slide 2, and let's double check our tags of this content. So this introduction button, or this introduction text, I'm gonna select the text tag, and it's currently set to an H1. Now I want my subsequent slides to be set to an H2, so I can actually go through and make sure that we set that. Again, we have our logo at the top. We can just delete that, and then we have our background images. Additionally, we can make sure that our text tags are set to P tags where necessary. Let's move on to slide 3. In this one, we're really going to need to format it as a table when we export it out. So it might be more beneficial for us to actually recreate this slide. We can do that by simply selecting the plus button, and then under our elements section, and then under our charts section, we can select the table button. Now this is where we would want to enter in all of that information that we have from Fabio, Alex, and Sarah. This is just a sample presentation, but we would want to put this into an actual editable table, and then we could simply mark the images as decorative. This will allow us a cleaner export in getting the file out when we want to test for our accessibility. That's really the only change I would make to slide 3, is that we would want this entered as a table. Now in here we have more information. We have, again, our spot for our logos. We have our title already applied. Once we're finished making our presentation available, we can then select the file button and then select accessibility to check the accessibility of this presentation. We're going to select check my design under the checker, and there's some spots that it says it's failing for color contrast. Let's go into our table, and right now the table is failing color contrast requirements. In this example, I'm simply going to select all of the text and then make it font size black. We can then rescan it, and we are now getting a passing color. Next, we have some areas that say our text size is failing. And in this case, it is recommending that we have font size 16 on all of this. So I'm gonna select Control A, and then let's set our font size to 16, and that will fix all of that content. Next, let's go to our table, and we're gonna do a similar thing. We're gonna select all of our text, and we're gonna do font size 16. I like that this is built into this because while it's not an actual requirement, it is a best practice to ensure that your presentations have a minimum font size for our users. Again, we're gonna have to come in here and increase these. Now, if we did not want to increase them, we could simply mark them that we checked them. and that would get rid of the error in the accessibility checker from within Venngage. Let's go ahead and rescan the document, and now it says we have 8 issues, and these are all manual reviews. So our alternate text, it wants us to review. And in this case, we have icons that are missing alt text. We can select the icon. Let's do add alt text, and we're simply going to mark it as decorative. Now, not every one of these will be decorative, but in this case, they actually will be, because we have a whole bunch of different icons throughout this. This is gonna take a little while to add. We can then go ahead and move on to logical reading order, and this is where it would take us to our tag order. And we could adjust the different tags throughout every single one of the pages. Now, when we're on the headings check, we can actually see the different tag types of the content. We can then move on to different pages and see we've got H2s, our H1 tags, followed by H2 tags, followed by P tags. We can say that these heading tags follow best practices, and then go through the rest of the accessibility checker. Now, when we're actually done, we can come to the download button, and we can download this either as a accessible PDF, or we can download it as a PowerPoint file. Let's go ahead and download it as a PDF file just to begin. Now that the file has been downloaded, we can open it. Let's go ahead and open it natively in Adobe Acrobat, and we can now review our presentation. We can go to the tags window. We have our H1 tagged in here. We have our figure element. We have H2, P tag, and it appears that it separated the individual slides via the part tag, and that's totally fine. The reading order is a little out of whack on this slide, but I didn't really do anything to adjust it, so that makes sense to me. We then have our table tag, which has our appropriate table headers set up. And if we would have done what we were supposed to do on slide 3, it would have been accessible in there. Let's go ahead and keep going. All of our content is appropriately ported over. And that's really the main part here that I wanted to look at, was that you can design your presentation completely in Venngage and export it as an accessible PDF. Let's go ahead and check the accessibility of this file. I'm going to select the All Tools button and then select Prepare for Accessibility, and let's check for accessibility and run the automated checker. And in here, all it says is that our table is missing a summary. This is a very common issue. If we go back into Venngage, let's see if we can add a table summary. I'm not sure that we can add a table summary inside of Venngage, but this is a very annoying issue that happens with pretty much every PDF I ever work on that contains a table. We have to add that table summary. So you have to come in here and select the fixed reading order tool, right click it and select edit table summary and provide your summary. And then select OK, and then close, and then save our file. And now what we can do is let's launch the pack tool and see how well this file came out. We're gonna simply drag and drop our file into the pack checker. And wow, we have a PDF UA and WCAG compliant file. Now again, this file isn't perfect because I skipped some steps. However, we'll be able to design fully accessible presentations using Venngage and export them to a PDF. Now I am curious to see how it comes out via a PowerPoint file. So let's select download and then select PowerPoint. All right, I've downloaded the file as a PowerPoint file, and we now have it open in Microsoft PowerPoint. And what I want to do is just run the accessibility checker. I'm just curious to see how it looks. Let's do File, Info, Inspect, Check Accessibility. All right, so the PowerPoint export is definitely not accessible whatsoever. We would need to fix this from within PowerPoint, but good to know that we can still export as a PDF. I'm sure in time, the PowerPoint exports will get better. That concludes today's video on how to design an accessible presentation online using the Venngage tool. If you want to try out Venngage for free, check out the link in the description of this video. And as always, I can be your champion for inclusion. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.